Hey guys, can you hear me? Hey guys, what's going on? Hey, if you can hear me, yeah. All right, awesome. Also, let me know where you guys are tuned in from. I want to do some shout outs, but good to be here. Good to be back. Awesome. AG. Let me know where you're tuned in from. Also, let me know if this is your first time live so I can give you a shout out. And do me a favor, hit the like button as you come in. Appreciate it. All right, so we got Heather from Miami. Uh, we got X from Ireland. Wendy from Baltimore. We got New York City, Wichita, Kansas. That's Tiffany. London. We got a couple of people from London, DC, California, Illinois. Wherever you're tuned in from, let me just say thank you. Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I haven't been live in a little while, but we are going to get some questions answered. Okay. So be sure to drop your questions in the comment section, and I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. Okay, we're going to be live for at least an hour before we call it a day. So I appreciate y'all for being here with me. Really, it's truly a blessing, and it's awesome to see you guys here. Let's see, we got first time Denise, Erica is also here first time. Shout out to you guys, Wendy, White, and Sir Fun first time as well as Mario. Shout out to you guys. So let me tell you how the live stream works. Okay, we're gonna get a few people coming in and out. Um, and so what I like to do is, I want to answer as many questions as I can for free because everyone can't book a coaching call. I have like a hour coaching session currently. That's the only way you can currently speak to me one on one about your situation. But like everyone can afford that. And sometimes you just have like a little quick question. And so this has been like the best way to just kind of engage and really give back to you guys. So again, I appreciate all the support. Appreciate you guys for watching the channel and stuff, even despite everything you're going through. So I hope the videos give you a lot of value. Okay. But this is also another outlet to where I can give you some kind of value and answer some questions. Okay. So drop your questions in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can in the order that they came in. And also what I do is because everyone can't be here for the whole hour, right? As we get more people asking questions, it kind of gets backed up. So if you want to skip the line, you can send a super chat donation. I answer super chat questions first. Let me tell you something about the super chats though. Okay. The way it works on the back end here, right? If you send a super chat that's under, I believe it's 4.99 USD, 4.99 USD. It does not pop up on my screen. So a lot of times there's a lot of comments coming in. I'm going to miss your super chat. Listen closely. You do not have to send a super chat. Just type your question in. And if I can get to it, I will. But I won't get to every question. The super chat just allows me to prioritize people who can't be here the whole time, people who just want to get their question answers and leave. Okay. And also, like I said, the more questions, I just won't get to everyone. So if you want to make sure I answer your question, send a super chat. If you want to skip the line, send a super chat. Or if you just want to support me, support the channel, you can send a super chat. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's see here. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump into it, guys. Again, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. We're gonna have a good time. Grab your drinks, grab your popcorn, whatever it is that you got, kick back, relax, and hopefully you find this helpful. Okay. So let's see here. What is our first question today? Comes from Crazy Rage. Crazy Rage says, "Hey coach, would love to know if I should repost funny loving memes for my ex to see on TikTok." No. That's attention seeking behavior. Let me say this. The more things that you do, all right, I want you to always think about what is your intention, any action that you take, especially, things on social media, messages that you send, if you are still texting your ex, what is the intention behind it? Okay, so the very fact that you're asking, should I repost funny, loving memes? It's attention seeking, try hard behavior, and you're already positioning yourself as lesser than your ex, right? Because you're having to do so much to get their attention. So no, okay, you should be in no contact, and you shouldn't be doing things to get your ex's attention. All right, let's see here. Uh, Pamela says, a year on, and I'm still hurting from a 2 week love bomb, which I walked away from. I watched you coach during the most difficult period. Here I am again. What's going on specifically? I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through. That sucks. But give me more details. Okay, AR says, what if the dumper breaks no contact, chief? Well, depending on, so I talked about masculine versus feminine energy. Okay. So if the dumper is a lady, all right, and you're the man in the relationship, it's your job to facilitate connecting. Okay. Set a date. Like, the mistake people make a lot of times is like, you try to give your ex ultimatums. They send you one message, you start saying, what about the relationship? And don't you care? And do you miss me? And all of these things just apply too much pressure, right? Because a lot of times the main reason your ex is messaging you is because they haven't heard from you. So if you do no contact, a part of your ex at minimum, they get curious. They expect you to chase them because most people do. Breakups are very emotionally difficult. They can be very traumatic. So most people don't just go into no contact. And if your ex has been in any other breakup, right, they know that, well, typically I should hear from this person. And so when you don't do anything, they'll break no contact. They'll say something. But what you want to figure out as quickly as possible is, are they willing to get together to do something? Because if they're just trying to waste your time, if they're just trying to get attention from you, if they're just trying to see if you still have feelings for them, most times they won't commit to anything. They won't commit to hanging out. They won't commit to spending time together. So it's important you get to the point as quickly as possible. And if they're not willing to get together, then you don't spend a lot of time engaging in those conversations. Okay. Let's see here. Um Shout out to Catwalks. I believe I see you in the comment sections a lot. Catwalk something. Uh Delphine. I believe that's you, but anyway, thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it. Okay. I just like that picture looks very familiar. I'm pretty sure I see you in the comments a lot. So thank you. Emily. Emily says, reached out to my ex after 3 months, no contact. 4 months broken up for my things. He didn't reply. Should I lose hope to make amends? Well, at this point, like, getting your things, depending on what it is. Okay. I'm kind of curious what exactly, you left over there, because sometimes if what you left is so insignificant, then they'll just think that you're reaching out because you still have feelings for them. Right. So if you reach out and you're like, oh, I need to pick up a novel I left over there, and the novel costs like $15. It just seems like you're making an excuse to contact them. And so that can cause them to ignore you, not prioritize the situation. But either way, at 3 to 4 months, if you're getting the cold shoulder, you need to be more focused on leaving them in the past. Because bottom line, you want to be with someone who chooses you. You don't want to beg someone to be in a relationship with you. Most times, space is enough to give most people an epiphany. A lot of people screw up reattracting the ex after the ex is initiating. So, for the vast majority of people, if you do no contact well the first time, you're going to hear something. So if you're in a situation where you do no contact and you get nothing for 4 or 5, 6, 7 months, that tells you a lot about how much they care. Because, you know, when you lose something that you actually care about, most times you're going to do something to relieve the pain. So it's kind of the same way you have the urge to reach out to them, the same way you have the desire to call them. And a lot of times, even though you know you're supposed to be doing no contact, you still fail, right? So, so anyway, if they if they can go like 4 months, 6 months without talking to you, I mean, it tells you a lot. It tells you that they don't really care. So, um, at this point, my focus, Emily, would be more on letting them go as much as possible. Um, and if they change their mind, they will reach out to you. You don't want to. You really want to show a level of self-respect. It's truthfully the most attractive thing you can do. Seriously. So anyway, that's what I would say. If you're just joining, thank you for being here. Okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. I know you're going through a lot. Like I said earlier, we had a few people come in. And so if you just came in, do me a favor, hit the like button. I appreciate it. Drop your questions in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can and answer as many questions as I can today. Also, what else? If you want to skip the line, send a super chat. I answer super chat questions first, but we'll get through a lot of these questions before it gets super busy. But once it gets super busy, you'll see like more. If you want to skip the line, you send a super chat. Okay. All right. Let's see here. We got Tiffany. Tiffany says, "Thank you for all your guidance. I appreciate your videos and guidance and wisdom you provide. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's truly a blessing to be able to support you guys. It really is. So thank you." Um, Phil, no, philosopher. Why is it? Okay, I don't even understand what you're saying there. Type your question again. I don't understand what you're trying to ask, philosopher McLean. Let's see here. We got Carlito. Wife doesn't love me anymore and doesn't want to stay together. And doesn't want to stay together. We have 3 kids. There isn't any logical reason why she took this decision. Well, I think that's going to be your first step to getting her back. If you're able to do the things that we talk about and attract her back, your very first step to getting her back is to understand that most breakups, it's never about a logical decision. Like you might check all the boxes logically, but emotionally, the person doesn't feel the same way. You know, like one of the things that people always talk about is like, oh, women only want you for your money. I can't tell you how many guys I've talked to that are like business owners and founders and CEOs, like multi tens of $1 million men who their ex-girlfriend is treating them like crap, like all the time. And so logically, on some level, she might know that, okay, this guy can provide me some level of security, but it doesn't change that emotionally she's not attracted to him. So what I would say, Carlito, there's likely things that you're doing insane, even though you might not be aware, that is not making your wife feel emotionally safe. It's not making her feel a strong desire for you. The most common reason I see where men do this is when you stop leading in the relationship. That's a big one. when you stop prioritizing your goals, when you put all your ambition and desires to the side, when you start to um, treat her like your mommy, and you stop making decisions and you do whatever it is that she says, deep down, that's not really what she wants. Like, she wants you to be a man first. And a lot of times that makes her feel safe. Like, you're able to make decisions for yourself. You're still putting in effort to court her properly and treat her like the way she deserves to be treated. But like you still have self-respect for yourself. You carry yourself well. You have boundaries with her and with the kids, and you have a drive and ambition at work. A lot of times that's some of the most common reasons I see guys get dumped. It's not a money thing. It's more of like an energy thing. Like, how are you showing up to the world? Are you giving your best? Are you giving the best of who you are to the world? Or are you just kind of half, showing up, if that makes sense? All right, we got a super chat. Let's see. Faye. I recognize that name. Faye says, I was in no contact for 2.5 months. He broke no contact, like you said, after I posted on IG again. He asked to exchange things, but he didn't give all my stuff back. I went back into no contact. It's been 3 weeks. Do I break no contact? I'd be curious about how you exchange things. Like, did you exchange things in person? Because if you're gonna bring up that, hey, I didn't get all my stuff, I would have brought it up like when you actually saw each other, or when you exchange things. So I'm curious about what communication was like during that interaction. But what I would say though is, if he just, for example, let's say you wanted to exchange things, he just dropped stuff at your front door and walked away and didn't say anything else, then I wouldn't initiate contact with them. Seriously. Like, you need someone. A lot of the reason why no contact works is that the person that walked away realizes that what they walked away from was special. They realize that, okay, I might be out here trying to date other people. I might be out here trying to be free and do my own thing. But you know what? My life doesn't feel as amazing without this other person. And so they're usually more willing to put in effort, right? And it's not because they're a kind person. It's mainly driven by self-interest, right? Like, on some level, they are unhappy without you. And so they're more willing to do more. And so if your ex is not willing to even lift a finger to close the gap between you, especially when they left, then they're not where you want them to be yet. And even if it takes an extra week, even if it takes an extra 2 weeks, you're better off waiting till they're in the right emotional state, so that things can kind of move to where it's supposed to. It's almost like what's a good example? Okay, don't quote me on this, all right, but kind of going back to chemistry, right? There's something that was called, I believe it's called latent heat, right? And so when you take an ice cube, right, and you start to heat it up from, 0 degrees Celsius, right? Like, that's the melting point of ice. But the point is, when you start applying heat initially, nothing's going to happen, right? Inside the ice structure, the molecules are going to be vibrating and so on and so forth. But it's going to reach a crucial tipping point, all right? And that's, right, 0 degrees and above, where it's going to change state. But the point is, when it changes state, all of the properties of ice is going to change from, right, solid to liquid. It's very similar to the behavior of your ex. When they are at a place where, like, they reach that critical threshold where they are starting to get really anxious about, the potential of losing you permanently, their behavior will change. The tone of their voice, the way they treat you, the amount of effort that they're willing to put in. So a lot of times you reach out to your ex prematurely, and you're still going to get the same old qualities. You're still going to get the same old person, because you were impatient. So it's the same thing with the ice. Sure, you've turned on the heat, but it's still ice. The properties are still the same. If they don't care, it's very evident in their actions. Anyway, Vincent says, "Hey, coach, uh, assume I'm being a good partner, following Way of the Superior Man." That's good. That's a good book. When is the right time to walk away and know the difference between tests versus women just being mean and disrespectful? That's a great question. That's a great question. And the best thing I would say about that is to, trust your gut. Okay. A lot of these things, like, you can look at the other people in your life and the other relationships in your life and how they're treating you, because these behaviors, especially that book, that's a good book. These behaviors should permeate into your other relationships, right? Like standing up for yourself, being confident, and so on and so forth. And so if you've been showing up in the right way to your relationship, having solid boundaries, passing tests in a strong and confident way, but the tests never stop, all right, or get less frequent. I mean, it tells you a lot about the partner that you've chosen. So the big thing I would say is, if you used to be a certain way, let's say before you read that book, you used to be a certain way, overly apologetic, needy, extremely nice, not having personal boundaries, and you just started changing, let's say a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Well, you have to understand it from her perspective. It's easier for her to assume that you're still the same guy, right? Because, kind of like they say, zebras don't change their stripes. So it's easier for her to assume that you're still the same guy. And so the test is her own way of making sure that this is real, this is authentic. And maybe you've told her you'll change before. Maybe you said you'll do the things. And maybe in the past you have boundaries on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but on Thursday you let her push you around. There's a lot of reasons why, she can be committed to the fact that you're still the same person you used to be. So point is, if you've been doing the right things for several months and nothing's changed, I would more so start thinking of finding someone else to partner with. Okay. J3 World, it's super chat, says 1 month no contact. She keeps posting things on TikTok, talking bad about me, but also post things about missing me. When will she reach out? Because I know she will. Well, be patient. Hopefully, what I would say is, if you are watching her TikToks, right, and making it obvious, because TikTok, tracks the people that are viewing your page, right? And so if you're watching her TikToks and she can tell, well, then you're breaking no contact. So I'm not sure if that's what you're actually doing. But let's assume that you have a way to watch her TikTok without her knowing. Then just hang tight. If she's posting about you, she's thinking about you. Hang tight and wait for her to be more direct, though. Anyway, but thanks for your question. She will reach out though. If she's posting a lot about you. Omnisphere says, "Coach, when I broke no contact after 4 months to ask her to focus on us, great. She rejected me, but went out of her way to ask if I would have my phone when I do training in July. Do you think this means anything? Thank you for all." I mean, if it means anything, it just means that, she's hoping that you will put your life on hold and see how she feels about you in July. So one of the biggest things I say, right, is it's how you need to think about it. It's not your job. People are not going to want to hear this, but it's not your job as the man to. It's not your job to lock her down. All right. So when you're saying, you know, after 4 months, I asked her to focus on us. That's when she's ready. She'll start talking about commitment and relationship. So a lot of times that's why you got rejected, is because you literally can't go from broken up to be in a relationship. You can't. So after 4 months of nothingness, no communication, your first offer is let's focus on us. That's just not gonna work. What you should have done, which I wouldn't have broken no contact, but what you should have done is you should have just invited her to do something. You should have asked her, to get together for drinks, for coffee, whatever it is. And let the commitment, let the universe take care of that, or let attraction take care of that. If you just said, hey, if it was a lesser commitment, focus on us, says, drop everything and everyone else that you're doing and focus on us. Well, she's not at that place emotionally. Like, you've been absent for 4 months for good reason. She dumped you, but the point is there's no connection. So you have to at least spend some time rebuilding that connection, spending time together, hanging out, doing things, connecting. And then she'll get to a place where it makes sense to focus on us. So yeah, you jumped the gun. And so all you did was just tell her that you were still interested, which kind of is counterproductive when you're in no contact. You should just went straight for getting together. But there you go. J3 says, "Thank you, Coach. Never retire." Well, I appreciate it. As long as you guys are having me, right? But thank you. I appreciate it, man. Let's see here. I could have swore I saw another super chat here. Hmm. Okay, we got Efren. We broke up a few weeks ago. She reached out. Um, she reached out, but we got nowhere. She stopped responding. Her birthday is on Mother's Day. Should I tell her happy birthday, happy Mother's Day? No, no. And I know this is hard, okay, bro. No, you should not tell her anything. Like, so when I'm reading the language in your text message, and I know this thing, it's counterintuitive, right? Because the movies tell you, like, show up at her house with a boombox and tell her how much you love her. But she dumped you for a reason. I know that hurts, okay? But the bottom line, at the time, she wasn't feeling safe in the relationship. She wasn't feeling high attraction. So when only a few weeks after that, all right, reading this text that you sent and reading between the lines, you said she reached out, but we got nowhere. Where exactly are you trying to get to? So to me, that reeks of you're probably saying and doing things to lock her down, like, let's get back together, let's work on us, and she's not there yet. You're jumping the gun. Your focus, and if you watch the video, some people, you watch the videos, but you don't do what the videos say. I understand breakups are difficult. I get it. Okay. So I'm not trying to shame you, bro. But the point is, you went into no contact and she reached out. That's a good sign. Okay. She got a little fearful, worried. She thought about you. But after she reached out, you were doing too much. You should just go to setting dates, hanging out. You don't need to build rapport with your ex. I hope you understand. Let me say that again. You do not need to build rapport with your ex. You already know each other. You were in a relationship. So, yes, you can go on dates with no pressure. But the point is, you don't need to sit on the phone. You know how when you match with someone on a dating app, like, you have to spend like maybe 2 days texting back and forth. You don't need to do that with your ex. She knows you. She's not, she knows that she's not going to go, be harmed in any way because she was in a relationship with you. So instead of wasting your time sending 20 messages and then she eventually leaves you on scene, just get to the point, all right? And don't be focused on the wrong thing. You're not going to think about it. Think about walking up to a random stranger and saying, "Hey, you want to be in a relationship?" It doesn't make any sense, right? It's out of sequence. If you've been broken up, her attraction is very low. So it's basically like you're strangers again. So you need to rekindle the spark. You need to and you cannot talk her into feeling the right things. You can try. A lot of people try. You can send messages and tell her how you're going to work on yourself. It just nothing works better than her seeing the changes for herself. So instead of trying to lock her down, you need to let her be free. She messages you, you say, "Hey, it's really good to hear from you. When are you free to hang out? Want to come over? I'm cooking steaks, I'm grilling something." Okay? So you were moving too fast for sure. All right, Nicholas. So no, by the way, don't tell her happy birthday or happy Mother's Day. She left you hanging. Nicholas says for a first hangout after no contact, how do we not push for anything, but also not fall into the trap of hanging out only as friends? She says she only want to hang out as friends only. Well, that's a perfect example. So, and good question, Nicholas. I appreciate it. So if you just read what you just said, right? So you say, "Hey, let's get together," and she says, "Okay, but we're only hanging out as friends." Well, you don't hang out. You got to be willing to put your foot down. You got to be willing to say no. It's somewhat of a negotiation, right? And so you want to be in a relationship, or you're open to being in a relationship, and she wants friendship. Well, if you don't want that, right, and she says, "Let's hang out as friends," you don't agree to that and then get over there and try to change her mind. All right. If you believe you're a person of value, if you believe you have options, well, like, you don't have to chase after anyone. You don't have to crawl and say, "Hey, I want to date you." And they're like, "No, let's just be friends." Just like guys in the friend zone, it does not work. So, to your question, that first hangout under that context should not even happen. It should not happen at all. You should say no. And if she's really interested, you might go, like, she might not respond to the message for a day, 3 days, a week. But if she still has any feelings for you, at some point she'll come back around. She'll say, "Okay, sure, let's just hang out. Let's see what happens." All right. And then, so let's say she agrees to hanging out in the right context. She agrees to hang out, without just hanging out as friends. Well, then I want you to shift your perspective a little bit, right? Because you said, "Oh, how do I not push for anything?" I want you to shift your perspective a little bit to, how can she win me over? How can she prove to me that she's worth my investment? And the reason you want to think about it this way is because she dumped you. So you shouldn't be so eager to jump back into a relationship with her. So the easiest way to not come off as you're pushing for something is, you shouldn't be pushing for something. You should just be going to see if we can actually have fun together again. Do we laugh? Do we connect? Is there still some kind of sexual chemistry? Right? It's a very casual kind of thing. And if that happens, you'll see that her attraction is going to go up, because she's not going to feel pressured. She's not going to feel like you're trying to lock her down and force her back into a relationship, because it takes time. If you do things perfectly, it'll at least take a few dates before she's ready to be in a relationship again. So you shouldn't even be bringing up relationship, by the way. Chris with the super chat says, "Hey, coach, after 5 years being engaged, she broke up." That's tough. One week after, she's dating her coworker. Her whole personality changed. Her voice changed. Hurts. I'm sorry. That's tough. Um, yeah, that's monkey branching, right? Some people do this. You know, in a lot of cases, it's people that are not healed properly emotionally, people who cannot go at life alone, and so they basically plan their escape before they break up with you. All right, and so she's obviously, if 1 week later she's dating this guy, they've been talking. So she's very likely been cheating on you, if not physically, at least emotionally. So it hurts, right? That's not going to take away how you feel emotionally, right? But I'll just tell you, like, it's probably for the best. I know that's not what you want to hear, but loyalty doesn't mean much to this girl, right? Her being in a relationship 1 week after tells you everything you need to know. So, um, If I was in your shoe, I would be focused on dealing with the emotions, right? Like go to therapy. There is an emotional side of this breakup that there's nothing I can say that's gonna take those feelings away, right? So go to therapy, hang out with your buddies, go out for a drink, go to the gym, focus on your goal. Just keep improving. It's very likely because people like this, right? What's going to happen because that whole relationship is based on this deception. So that guy was aware, I'm sure he was aware that you were the boyfriend or fiance, and he took part in it. So they're both liars and cheaters, and so they're going to do it to each other. What I'd suggest to you is that, when she comes back, that you don't make the same mistake. You don't let her play you for a fool, because after 5 years, I wouldn't take her seriously. Anyway, but sorry for what you're going through, bro. Victoria Norris says, my ex and me uh, hang out, high kissing, hang out high kissing. I don't know. He said he's still around because he still loves me, but he sees someone trying to talk to me. He's mad. One week we're good. The next week he's mad. I don't know. Well, let me tell you this. Let me tell you how to think about it, and how to look at things moving forward. Generally speaking, but especially with men, you know, when it comes to life in general, but especially relationships, like you got to look at, what is a man willing to do to be with me? You know, what is a man willing to sacrifice? There's something about how men are like socialized. I mean, think about, you know, if you've heard about the Titanic and common procedure, right? If a ship is sinking, right, then they have the little lifeboats. It's like women and children first, right? Men are socialized in such a way that they understand that being in a relationship is about protecting. It's about giving of oneself to defend your family, right? To protect your lady, to protect your children, to provide. And men have done that for decades. I'm not saying I said decades, thousands of years, right? I'm not saying all men are great men, but follow me. Point is, men understand that relationships are about sacrifice. They're about action. They're about doing. And so if a guy is only telling you how much he loves you, he doesn't. He's not showing it anyway. So depending on how long this has been going on, and I recognize that name. So Victoria. So I'm not sure how long you've been in the breakup, but it sounds like he's been breadcrumbing you for months. So I think you need to move on, unless I'm missing anything else. His actions don't really back what he's saying. And so you ever heard the phrase "talk is cheap"? A man he can tell you anything, but what is he willing to sacrifice to be with you? Now understand context matters. Okay, I'm not telling you to go on a first date and say, what are you willing to sacrifice? Like, this guy's known you for a while. You've been in a relationship, and so he should be willing to sacrifice for you if he cares about you. And he's just talking. Talk is cheap. Anyway, but thanks for your question. Faye with super chat says he came by my house. He wanted his switch back. I still had his and he had mine. Okay. He said he had a bag of clothes. We talked. He said he was glad I was doing well and he'd see me around. Okay. But I looked but I looked after and saw my switch wasn't in the bag. Did he forget? Oh, I mean, it's possible he forgot. You know, the big thing here is, if I remember right, it's only been 3 weeks. It's only been 3 weeks since you guys exchanged things. So it could take him a little while longer, but a little bit similar, but your case definitely sounds a bit, you know, like it's still new. So he still needs more time. But the point is, he hasn't really done much to close the gap. And so for that reason, it hasn't been long enough yet. I wouldn't ask for switch. What is this? I don't even know what this Switch is. Uh, do I want to know? I'm thinking Nintendo Switch, but I mean that doesn't really make sense. I don't know. But point is, so Faye, to your question, it's still too early. Could he have intentionally kept the Switch? It's possible, but I don't see enough action yet backing like him like pursuing you in a really intentional way. So either way, it doesn't seem like he's at a point where he misses you enough. Efren super chat says, okay, we're gonna get through these. Let's see here. I left her. She crossed my boundaries. I still got mad love for her, and she has realized what she was doing, regrets it, but my heart says she's going to hurt me again, but part of me wants to try again. Let's see, Efren, what was your first question? Efren. Okay, well, here's the thing. This is what you're telling me, right? You see, like those two messages are just not congruent. So you said you left her. Okay, great. She crossed my boundaries. So I'm gonna guess, she was disrespectful and so on. She crossed my boundaries, and so you finally left, which is good. That's a confident, attractive thing to do. And so you go no contact for a while and she reaches out. Good. Uh he said she has realized what she was doing and regrets it. But look at what you just said, right? She crossed my boundaries. She realized what she was doing and regrets it. And then this was your text from before. She reached out but got nowhere and she stopped responding. Does that sound like so someone that actually respects you? Do you think they're gonna leave you on red? No, they're not. So my guess is you like whatever was said in those text messages, you still conveyed that you're way more invested in the relationship than she is. Because if she realized what she did wrong, if she actually cared about your boundaries and respected you, she wouldn't ignore your messages. So no, you're trying to gaslight yourself into chasing her. Do not wish her a happy birthday or happy Mother's Day. You need to have a higher level of self-respect. Think of communication like a game of tennis. You hit it over the fence, wait for her to hit it back. Okay? If she's not going to hit it back, I would never talk to her again. Christian, did the whole no contact thing. That's never the start of a good message. Well, let's see what she said, bro. She reached out within 2 months. She was back and forth with her intentions. 2 nights ago, she told me she reached out to her ex from her past, not me. I'll continue chat. Oh, let's see. Okay, she reached out to her ex from the past, not me. I officially walked away, made it clear 2 nights ago through text that she hasn't responded. I feel good though because I respect myself. Yeah, man, that's good, bro. Like, see, so here's a difference here too, though. These are subtle, but I've coached so many people, I've talked to so many people that like the answer is in the message. You said she was back and forth with her intention. So that tells me you wanted something, probably relationship fixing things. And she was back and forth. She was unsure. And you're kind of waiting for her to decide. And you should basically you've given her back the power after she dumped you. You shouldn't do that. If she reached out, your only message should be, when are you free to get together? See if she's willing to come over to see you. And if she's not, don't waste your time going back and forth. You know, she's just gonna waste your energy. So that's the issue here that I see with your case, Christian, is sure she reached out, but you basically became her buddy. So much so she got so comfortable that she's telling you about a different ex. You're being too nice. Okay. So stop talking to her. Don't message her ever again. If she messages you, invite her over. If she doesn't come, get off the phone. Simple as that. But thanks for your question, bro. Appreciate it. Honey Bryant says, He left me for someone. I did no contact for 2 months. I came back. He had a breakdown. Told everyone he needed me. We spent a lot of time together. He told me he wanted a future. His girlfriend broke up with him. What's your question for me? Because this doesn't sound great though, honestly, because what you're saying is he left you and you started chasing him. Yeah, sure. He was telling other people how he missed you and cared about you, but he didn't reach out to you for himself. And while all of this was going on, he was still in a relationship with someone else. So that's a character issue. Like he's with someone else, but he's talking and texting to his ex and telling other people how he needs you. So all of these things don't sound great for like a stable, long-term relationship. So I really, I really wouldn't take this guy seriously. If you want to at this stage, sure, he's dumped the other girl. Okay, let's see. So that wasn't the end of the story. Says 1 week later, they got together. She hit me. We stopped talking. He's talking to me again. They were broken up again, but are back together again, but is acting off. You shouldn't even be This is like a love triangle. Okay. And this is hard to hear, but this is a lot like you're literally inserting yourself into another person's relationship. Now you might say, well, he's the one reaching out to me. Well, you shouldn't even entertain conversations. The same way I tell guys, when a girl is like, oh, let's go for coffee as friends. You don't even entertain things like that. So if he's in a relationship with someone else, you shouldn't be talking to him. You just say, hey, like that's disrespectful for your relationship, disrespectful to me. If things change, you can reach out to me, and if I'm still single, then we'll talk then. That's what I would do. So, this guy doesn't really deserve, much of anything. And you need to stop talking to him. If you're just joining, do me a favor, hit the like button. Hit the like button for me so we can get some more people in here. And really great questions today. And we'll do some more free questions here shortly. I just got a bunch of these super chats I have to knock out. So we were together for 4 years. They are 4 months. I feel like he's the one, and he says the same, but he's scared to leave her. No, he's not scared to leave her. I'm sorry. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not a coach that's gonna be lying to you. He's not scared to leave her. He's just taking advantage of you. Okay. And the more you stick around, the more you keep doing stuff for him. She literally, you said she hit you. Remember what I said earlier? The easiest way to judge, especially a guy, the easiest way to judge a guy's interest is, how much is he willing to sacrifice for you? How much is he willing to give to be in a relationship with you? So if after 6 years he's prioritizing someone he met 4 months ago, like you can't even take that kind of guy seriously. Okay. So I know that word is very strong, and I know it means a lot in this moment. You say he's the one. He's not acting like it. Relationships take two. None of what I do is about, you know, encouraging you to chase someone who's treating you like crap. That's not what I do. That's not the intention. If you really listen to the videos, most times, an ex leaves because they have a perception. They believe that they are of higher value or that they can do better. But a lot of times it's a false premise. So no contact and all these things, they're traits and behaviors that help you portray yourself as a high value person. So in the short term, they work really well to help your ex see you in a different light. But big picture, long term, there's nothing more attractive than walking away from people who walk away from you. Seriously. And so, if he wants a chance with you, if he wants to fix things with you, allow him to dump this other girl and pursue you because he's taking advantage of you. He's using you for your emotional support, energy. I don't even know if you guys are being physically intimate. You shouldn't be, by the way, but there you go. All right, let's get some more questions here. Um, hmm. So, okay. Aristotle says, over a month from breakup and no contact, she reached out to ask me to delete our convos and send proof to each other. It sounds like the best course right now is to move on, right? Well, you see how in a subtle way she's kind of, you know, telling you what to do. Why should you have to listen to it? See, the moment a breakup happens, so I want you to remember this. The instant a breakup happens, it's a void in the contract, right? There's perks and benefits that each party gets from a relationship, but the moment a breakup happens, all of those perks are gone. So as soon as she left, she doesn't owe you anything. She doesn't owe you loyalty. She can go date someone else. She can literally do anything. She's a free agent. But the same thing happens vice versa. So, her telling you, delete our conversation and send me proof. Like, I would just ignore that. Like, the whole premise is off. I wouldn't even engage with those kind of things. She's not your boss. So anyway, I wouldn't do that if I were you, bro. And also, if you don't do that, that'll be the beginning of her starting to see you in a different light, starting to see you as the attractive, confident guy that you can be. Never, never let anyone diminish you. Never let anyone treat you like a second class citizen, you know. And sometimes it'll happen. Like we've all been there. Like you're going through stuff, or you're at a very emotionally vulnerable place, and so you let people get away with treating you poorly. But yeah, her doing that is a clear sign of a lack of respect. Anyway, next question is from Jerome. Jerome says, dated this girl for 4 years. She ended the relationship because I became insecure, clingy. All right. We've been in no contact for 4 months. Thoughts? Hmm. Uh, what I would say, I mean, if you've been in no contact for 4 months and you've heard nothing, I mean, that's not a great sign. My guess is she might be dating someone else. Like if she can go 4 months and you've done no contact perfectly, I'm assuming that's what you're saying. You didn't reach out, you didn't call, text, which is kind of surprising. If you used to be clingy and you just instantly started doing everything right, but anyway, I'll take your word for it that you've been handling things well. Um, if she can go 4 months without any kind of breaking no contact, she's probably dating someone else. She doesn't seem to care that much. So um, I would focus on finding new um, people to date. Now, I've seen an ex come back a year later, 2 years later, but you shouldn't be waiting for those kind of people anyway. So let's see here. Next question is from Damaris. Says, help me remember my value. Greatly appreciated. I'm a total catch. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You shouldn't have to beg someone to be with you. You shouldn't have to chase anyone. Um, and a lot of times, the moment you stop chasing is the moment they start chasing you. It's very interesting. It's a weird dynamic. Anyway, Isra Says dated for 3 years and recently he decided to go his separate ways. Okay. He said he will always have love for me and his feelings were real. I said, okay. It's been 9 days, no contact. He saw my Instagram story today. Bottom line is 9 days is not that long. So he's probably going to reach out to you at some point. Him watching your stories is a good sign. So wait for him to come all the way. Just make sure you're not watching his stories and, you know, contacting him and so on and so forth. Okay. Let's see here. We got a comment from uh Honey. Oh, Honey Brian. Okay, I think that's a follow up. She says, I was in his life as a friend because we have a dog together and he has a son who I raised since he was a toddler. Our dog lives at his house and we share her, and I have visits with the son. Yeah, here's the reality. At the end of the day, this is your life and you get to choose. So, again, this is your life. But the reality is the reason why you're in this position, in this very precarious position, is because you still have feelings for him and you're still trying to lie to yourself that this is about a friendship. If it was about a friendship, you wouldn't be saying, oh, he's scared to leave her. So in reality, you want to be more than friends and you're using these other ancillary things, or people in this case, in his life to stay in touch. Sadly, the child is not yours. People get divorced all the time, that were step parents, and instantly they lose access to the kid. A dog is not a human being, so sharing a dog for years on end doesn't really make any sense. Someone's going to keep the dog. You guys should decide who that is. And so, again, this is your life, but you're not ever forming any real boundaries with him. And so he has access to you whenever he wants. So you can't even generate the right types of feelings inside of him, which comes from actually losing the perks of a relationship with you. Outside of sex, he probably still gets all of the same benefits of the relationship. And in a lot of cases, I'm not going to put you on blast here because I don't know, but in a lot of cases, some people are still sleeping with the ex who's a friend. So essentially, they get all the benefits of a relationship without any of the effort. So, anyway, I would cut him off if I were you. I wouldn't be his friend. And I know you don't want to hear that, but that's what I would say. Let's see. Fatima says he broke up with me, but is saying that if I move on and go on dates when I'm ready to date again, there's no chance of us in the future to try again. Thoughts? I would like to try one day again. Well, there's two things here that I guess is going on. One, you're probably bringing it up to see how he feels. So you're telling him, hey, you know, okay, it's fine, it's over. I'm gonna go date other people, just to see if he reacts to that. Because you dating other people is not his business. So why is that even coming up? So chances are, my guess is you're bringing it up to see if he reacts to that. And secondly, like I said, a man can tell you anything, but if he's not willing to sacrifice anything to be with you, he doesn't really care as much as he should. So you're not going to get any kind of movement from him until you actually walk away. There's no in between. A lot of people try to be in the in between. Let's just be friends. Okay, let me guarantee you and promise you that I will never date anyone else until you're ready. That's like you're putting yourself as lesser than him. If he was willing to take the risk of losing you, let him deal with the consequences. Seriously. So don't listen to the BS he's telling you, like, oh, if you date anyone else, that's no longer his call. So if you gaslight yourself into staying the whole time, accepting the bare minimum, giving him promises and guarantees when he's giving you nothing, you will never get him back. Uh, Joe says she's my girlfriend of like 5 or 6 years. Our son is 4. Am I missing? You probably had a question before that. Hmm. Okay. Your average gamer says 7 years. We were rocky. The last couple of months. Had a kid very early on, and at 6 years old, I was insecure. As time went on, I had lost myself. Became super complacent. 2 weeks. Became super complacent. Okay. Well, all you can do is, I mean, you can't go back in time. Like you can't change the past. What's that? What's that? That's that Lion King quote, right? Like, you can either learn from the past or you can run from it, right? So you can't change the things that have happened, but if you do know contact, I mean, when you hear from her again, all you can do is show a different side of yourself, right? You know, ask her on dates, lead the interaction, and she'll see that you've changed, right? So keep working on yourself and go from there. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up soon, but let me say this: thank you all for being here. All right, we're gonna do a few more questions. Hit the like button for me if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Okay, and you can watch this afterwards if you haven't been here the whole time. I think we've had a lot of great questions. It's been a really good conversation. But we're gonna answer a few more questions. Let's see here. We're gonna answer a few more questions. If you want to send a super chat, send it, and I will answer that. But otherwise, type your question in now. I'm gonna just do a random selection of a few questions here. But here we go. Uh, Universal Soul says my ex came back but left again. I got upset that she was dating other guys. Yeah, that's tough, but it's kind of par for the course. Like I said, the reason they left in the first place is subconsciously they think they can do better. So even though they come back, a lot of times they're still weighing their options. Now you're likely their best option because you have the most like uh emotional attachment. You've known each other the longest. You've likely done more things together. You've shared more secrets. You've been more intimate. So you're likely their best option. But yeah, it's like, a part of you has to understand, right? It's kind of like when you go on a first date. That person is probably dating other people. So if that's not something you can deal with emotionally, I get it. Then that means the moment a breakup happens, never consider dating that person again. Because I can guarantee you, most people that break up with you, they're not just sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. They're probably going on dates. Very likely. Okay. But I understand the feeling. So you got to ask yourself, if this is a complete deal breaker for me, if I'm done, then sure, you can walk away forever. Um, but most times you're going to have to date her while she's potentially dating other people, but you um probably have the best connection. So it'd be much easier for you to attract her back than a new guy if you were doing things right. All right, because she's more invested in you emotionally. Uh let's see here. How do I continue no contact when we work together? Well, you just have limited contact. Like don't talk if you don't have to. Just treat him like a coworker. Says he's seeing someone else, but shows signs he still likes me. Well, at the end of the day, if he's seeing someone else, pursuing him, pursuing him just makes you look needy, makes you look desperate. So I would not really give him the time of day. Signs of liking you. Remember what I say? A guy can say anything. But signs of liking you, if he was doing more, you would have said it. So if he was taking you on dates and taking you on trips and showing up to your place with flowers, you would have said those things. So chances are he's not really doing anything. So ladies, like use that as like a rough estimate to really know where a guy is at. Looking at you with dreamy eyes doesn't really count. Smiling at you from across the hall, talking to you, it doesn't really count. Okay. If he cares, he will do more. Let's see here. Tyler with the sad face emoji. Let's see here. I've set super chat, well, the funds anyway, but I posted my question in the comments on here. Let's see. Let's see if Tyler, because I didn't see, and I mentioned this, but you probably missed this. If your super chat is under 4.99, it's not gonna pop on my screen, so I wouldn't see it. And yeah, I don't see anything from you. Okay, so Tyler, okay, there's your super chat. But your question, always put your question with the super chat, because now I have to start looking for your question or type it again, because yeah, I have to start the whole point is that your question and the super chat is together, so it's right there. But if you send a super chat and I have to scroll, a lot of times I won't find it because there's so many questions. But I'm looking though. So type your question again, Tyler, real quick, so I can answer it. I don't see your question. Let's do the next question though. Tyler, I'm giving you a few minutes. Type your question in, okay? Let's see here. We got Tiffany. Tiffany says, what if my ex comes back with breadcrumbs like good morning or good night? How do I politely expect nothing but face to face? Well, I mean, so it depends on how long ago the breakup was. So let's just use a simple example. If you broke up a month ago and they start texting you, sure, you can give them, polite responses. Oh, hey, I'm doing great. Give him a few messages to get to the point. If he doesn't, just leave. Like, hey, good to hear from you. Keep in touch. Good to hear from you. I gotta run. But if he's been doing breadcrumbs for like 6 months, 8 months, just stop responding. Like there's no point to respond to a good morning from someone who's been texting you good morning for 8 months but hasn't even thought to say, hey, can I see you? Hey, let's get together. Right? So that's really what it depends on. Like if it's early on after the breakup, sure, you can answer questions politely, but but yeah. So it depends on how long ago you guys broke up. But if he's not asking to see you, he's not that interested yet. So make sure you're not spending an hour going back and forth with him. Jackson, let's see here. Jackson says, I haven't seen my ex for a year. Okay, cool. She dumped me. We ran into each other last week. I was walking down the street and she was exiting a car park in her car. Uh, we made eye contact, but I continued walking. Okay. And as she drove off, I saw she looked around. Would she be thinking about it? I'm staying no contact, wondering if she'll reach out. It's been a year at this point. I would be focused on meeting new girls, dude. Like if she messages you, great. All right. But at this stage, I need you to be less emotionally invested and attached. And again, I understand like you might really still care about this girl, but a year later, I wouldn't even like you should be dating other women and be at a point where you're attracting women that value you deeply, that treat you really well. So if she texts you, great, set a date to hang out, but It doesn't seem like she cares that much. If you've been in no contact for a year and you heard nothing, I wouldn't worry about her, bro. Joe says she broke up with me because she doesn't trust me or feel a connection anymore. We've been together for 5, 6 years. Our son is 4. Just we just bought a house. Everything's in her name. Oh, that sucks. How do I make this work? What do I do? I mean, one, you can't. Like, again, relationships take two. You have a son to raise, so there has to be some kind of communication. I would say you need to figure out like where you're gonna live. I don't know if you figured that out already. If you guys are living together, obviously at some point you got to get your own place. If she's saying she doesn't want to be with you, but if there's a chance of fixing this, it's gonna require some kind of separation. And you're gonna have to co-parent. Like you guys are gonna have to raise your son together, and you'll have more opportunities to fix things in the future. But in the short term, like you need to have at least some kind of space. Um, what else? That's a good question. Yeah. But if you're trying to smother her, if you have a timeline in your mind, if you're trying to pressure her and say, "Oh, for our son," and all these things, it's just too much. She needs space. You need to give her the breakup, give her what she's asking for, but be there for your son. And the more she sees you being a responsible father, she's going to be more attracted to you for sure. All right, we're going to take Tyler's question last here. Let's see here. My ex and I split apart. I verbally told her we should end things, but in reality, I'm the one who was dumped after 3 years. Okay. We have been split apart for a year. Okay. But even in the beginning of our split, and as of now, she talks and jokes like nothing's wrong. We have to communicate because we have a 14-month-old. Okay. Um, and I'm playing along like it doesn't bother me. Honestly, it really does. Okay, I mean, well, that's half your problem right there. It's like you're behaving, um, like you know someone who's still invested and interested in a relationship with her at this point. And this is gonna be the last question. No, Mancita is gonna be the last question. But the point is, if she's joking and kikiing and doing all those things, that's not your responsibility anymore. You're no longer together. You're no longer together. She's no longer your responsibility. So you shouldn't be doing those things with her. You got to raise your kid. You got to be there for your child. So outside of logistics of raising your son, like I wouldn't even be talking to her. I would not be talking to her that much. And that's the reason why she's still doing this. Now, it's been a year. I don't know if you've dated other people, but she clearly doesn't feel any kind of threat or fear of loss because your energy, again, is still likely showing too much interest. So if I were you, I wouldn't talk to her much. Be short, be busy, have an amazing life with other people, but be there for your son. And she'll notice the change in your behavior. You're likely still being too nice and too accommodating. Let's see here. Mansita, where's your question? See, I said, see, this is what yeah, I can't. Let's see. I can't see your question. You say I left it, and I just said this. If you don't put the super chat with your question, I cannot see it. It's gonna get lost, and that's what just happened to you, Mansita. I'm scrolling, and I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see your question. Type it again. I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna run. Yeah, I can't see your question. Let's see. Okay, so anyway, thank you all for your questions. I appreciate it. Okay, Ka says you sent the super chat. I believe I answered your question. Let's see. Okay, Ka, I did. Let's see here. My girlfriend and I live together. I've been in no contact since Monday in a hotel. Okay. Today she called my sister panicking. She didn't know where I was. My fam blew up my phone. She told them we're separating. Why is she so concerned? Is it working? I mean, obviously she's concerned because she cares, and you're not saying anything, and she's trying to do something to get you to reach out to her. Because if she cared that much, it doesn't sound like you blocked her phone. I mean, she could have called you directly, but she didn't. So she's trying to, like, you know, whip up a storm to get you to come back over the house and grovel and get on your knees and beg her for a second chance, which I wouldn't do. So at the end of the day, you can't stay in the hotel forever. Um, so there still has to be some conversation. I'm not sure exactly what happened because you didn't tell me what the cause of the breakup was. You just said we've been in no contact since Monday. I'm just assuming she dumped you Monday and you moved into a hotel. So at some point, if she is really serious about this breakup, I'm not sure if your name is on the lease and whatnot. There's logistical things that you have to handle. And potentially you might be looking at having to move out. But the point is, the reason she's reaching out to your family is because she's noticed that you're not behaving like your typical self. Because I know it doesn't sound like you blocked her. She could have called you directly, she could have texted you, but she was too proud to do so. So it wasn't really about fixing the relationship per se. It was about getting you to come back home to chase her. And so I wouldn't do that if I were you. Okay. But logistically, there's things you have to figure out. And you weren't really clear about if she broke up with you and all those details. But point is, at some point, you're probably gonna have to separate. You're gonna have to get your stuff unless she starts to walk back her decision. Unless she starts to say, okay, like, can we talk about things and so on and so forth, then you can take things from there. But the fact that she called your family without reaching out to you first tells me she's very prideful. Anyway, hope this is helpful. If you want to talk specifically about your situation, you can look at the channel, click the link, and you can book a coaching call. I think I have some slots available. You're just gonna have to look and see. What else? Hit the like button for me before we head out. I appreciate you guys for being here. This is gonna be posted on the channel. Okay, so if you came in late, there were some really great questions all through this live. So I appreciate you all for the questions, for the engagement. So make sure after in about 5 minutes or so, it'll be on the channel. So you can look at the channel, you can watch the live and, see what parts you missed. But I appreciate you guys. All right. I'll catch you guys in the next video or the next live stream. Thanks again for watching. Peace.